So Google says it has added 24 new languages to Google Translate, including 2 more South African languages, Sepedi and Tsonga. The update brings the number of languages available on Translate to 133, with 7 of South Africa's 11 official languages represented. The announcement made during Google's annual developer conference will allow millions more people around the world to use the free service to instantly translate words, phrases and web pages into their preferred languages. We're joined now by the Google Country Director, Alistair Mokoena. Mr. Mokoena, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. So maybe let's start here. What informs language additions on Google?
Dudu, hi, thanks so much for having me. So I think, we need to go back to Google's mission, which is to organize the world's information and make it accessible to everybody. So what we're doing with Google Translate is that we're removing language barriers. So Google Translate is a simple app on your phone. It's free. And basically you can, type in languages that are translatable, and then you get your own preferred language. So the whole thing is about broadening access to information, to data, to the internet, and really just helping people communicate with each other despite language barriers.
Mm-hmm. Sepedi and Tsonga, why those 2 additions, as we only have 7 of our official 11 languages?
So basically the languages, the South African languages that are on Google Translate, there's 7, as you said. So that's English, Afrikaans, Zulu, Xhosa, Sesotho. Now we're adding Sepedi and Tsonga. And with those 7 languages, we're covering about 80% of the population, which is very, very good. So, if you take Sepedi, it's spoken by about 5 million people. If you take Tsonga, it's spoken by about 7.5 million people in about 5 southern African countries. So the criteria we use is the number of people. We also look at indigenous languages. For example, if you look at languages like Creole in Sierra Leone, you look at some of the indigenous spoken languages in America, in India, in Nepal, and those places. And we're really trying to find those languages that are underrepresented in technology. So we've got a long way to go. There's a total of about 133 languages that are on Google Translate now, but that's only 2% of languages spoken in the world, because there's about 7,000 languages out there. So we still have quite a bit of work to do. Very, very excited about this development.
A lot of work to do. How do you get it right? So who are the people in the background that actually check that everything is correct when it comes to tenses, when it comes to, the actual capturing of the original languages?
So technology is incredible. It keeps evolving every day. So how the technology works is that machine translation technology has improved over the last couple of years, especially with deep learning being integrated with natural language processing. Now, deep learning is a type of machine learning which allows machines to do what happens naturally with human beings, which is learn by example. And what tends to happen is that we have web crawlers out there that are constantly looking to identify languages on the net. And typically the well-resourced languages appear in parallel text, i.e. they are translated. So the web crawlers just takes, those parallel texts, those huge data sets, and learns basically, how to identify languages, learns how words interact, and then with time, machines are actually able to kind of translate without supervision. So there's 2 areas basic to machine translation. One is data scarcity. So there's lots and lots of languages that are not digitized yet, i.e. they're not on the net. So if those languages aren't available in digital form, you won't be able to find them using language identifiers. And there's also quality issues sometimes with language identification models. Then the second issue is that we're talking about monolingual languages, i.e. this language has never been translated. So when the web crawlers are looking for this language, they have to learn to work with very often poor quality monolingual data sets. So what's exciting about this development is that we've used a technology called zero-shot translation modeling. And what this does is that it works with monolingual text. It learns how to translate it without supervision, which is really, really exciting.
You cite access to information as being one of the reasons that informs language translations on Google, but how are you able to measure that, right? So perhaps just talking us through how successful this has been in terms of people going in and choosing their own languages to browse through the web?
So, I mean, I think we know that we've got a huge digital divide on the continent. So Africa has a population of 1.3 billion. Only about 330 million Africans have access to the internet. And we're hoping by, 2030, we'll have probably about 1 billion Africans using the net. So there's going to be more and more people coming on stream. But having said that, Africa is a mobile-first continent. We have the biggest penetration of smartphone devices on the continent. So a lot more people are starting to use Google Translate. But across the world, it's being used in many, many countries. And I think what we're finding is that, the more spoken languages, especially in parts like Europe, Asia, and America, and so on, have been on Google Translate for a long time. And these languages, because they've been translated on the net, it's very easy for the web crawlers to find them and make them accessible. Whereas what we're dealing with now is under-resourced languages that desperately need to be on the net. We need to improve the quality of those data sets. And that's what the study has been about. It's been about building up good quality monolingual data sets using neural, sort of language identifiers to find those monolingual languages out there. But yeah, it's work in progress. We're still playing around with another 1,000 languages that we actually want to bring on stream. But for now, it's 24, and I'm excited that out of the 24, 11 are African languages, and 7 of those now are official languages in this country that are on Google Translate, which is great.
Absolutely. I mean, other African languages include Twi, which is spoken in Ghana, Ewe in Ghana and Togo, Rambara in Mali, Oromo in Ethiopia and Kenya, to mention but a few. You speak of 1,000 languages that you're still playing around with. So if I am somebody that is sitting in Central African Republic, for instance, and I would like my language to be added onto Google, what's the process?
Yeah. So in Central Africa, there's a big language group there called Lingala. It's spoken by about 45 million people, and that's one of the languages that's now available on Google Translate. So what happens sometimes is that the communities will approach Google and say, listen, please, can you assist us, digitize our language, and make it available on Google Translate. So some of those languages that you're now seeing being announced came into the project that way. And we also work with linguists and universities and communities, especially indigenous language communities. We work with them and say, listen, we'd like to digitize your language and codify it. Please work with us. And I think what we did this time around was, once we had identified these languages, we were concerned about quality, because yes, this is great innovation and great technology breakthrough, but it's not perfect. So you still need men to assist machine. Something that I like saying a lot is men and machine, not men versus machine or woman versus machine. We have to see it as a symbiotic relationship. So we co-opted about 100 Googlers into the team and said, listen, you speak these languages, so please can you sense check them for us? Can you quality check for us? And I think it's an ongoing process. And machines learn pretty fast, and very soon they'll be able to do this without supervision on an ongoing basis and yield better quality. But I think it's all our responsibility, as people who speak these languages that are under-resourced, to ensure that we digitize them as much as we can.
Absolutely. You never know the importance, or the importance of actually knowing somebody else's language is underscored when you visit maybe Francophone Africa, for instance, and you quickly need to Google the word, just so that you can be able to communicate, maybe underscoring the importance of languages and us understanding each other.
Absolutely. Breaking down those barriers in society, driving social cohesion, being able to access useful and helpful information. If you, end up in a foreign country and you can't speak the language, you need services like, Google Translate to really help you navigate and make you feel human. But also, the indignity of people, not being able to converse and communicate has to come to an end. So technology can help with that, luckily. And it's very, very exciting to be part of this project.
It's a beautiful time to be alive. Thank you very much for availing yourself this morning. Alistair Mokoena, Google Country Director.